Hey guys, I hope everybody's having an awesome day. This video is about a relatively recent phenomenon that's happened in Canada, which is a large influx of Indian people from India coming to Canada. Because essentially what happened is our liberal government, is allowing millions a year to come in, okay? And they're not going to Toronto necessarily because Toronto is a very difficult place to live. Like if you're especially you're working low level jobs, so they're coming to other cities, which like where I live in Niagara. So essentially, we're seeing a huge influx of Indian people in Canada to ridiculous levels. Okay, and I have nothing against Indian people. I have had friends since growing up who were Indian, who were Sikhs, who were Punjabis, who are just like, you know, classic Indians. I'll call them Hindu Indians. Okay, and they're great people, first, second generation. You know, what I mean, all types. I like Indian people. Okay, but what I don't like is when all of a sudden, overnight, it seems we're getting like overrun with them, where there's a lot of negative implications. And the reason why I'm making this video is in response to my friend Rob, who did a post today on Instagram, which was in reference to, I don't know if you guys know Canada, we have a restaurant chain called Tim Hortons. Okay, it's like the iconic Canadian donut shop, coffee shop. Okay, except now, no matter where you go, it seems every employee of Tim Hortons, which is supposed to be iconic Canadian, is Indian, Punjabi. They can a lot of times barely speak English or even get your order right half the time. I swear to God. Like I make a basic order for a sandwich there and things, and more often than not, they fucked it up somehow. Okay. And but I'm not just going to vent on that. Like the reason why this is an issue, there's a few reasons, okay? Which is they're all coming here and they're taking the low level job positions, which classically were for Canadian high school students, for one. It's not just Tim Hortons, everywhere. There's this, where I work, a food court of like, you know, just different places where you get pizza or you get like a Burger King or, you know, burrito and things like that. Every single one is all Indian people. Every single one. The Indian population in Canada is probably less than, like, it's around, like, I don't know, like, especially where I live, not much, but yet every single low level position is Indian. I went to Walmart in Niagara Falls last week. Every single cashier or the people where you're like doing your own self checkout, they're helping you. Every single one Indian. Not just that, when I'm waiting in line, it was nothing but Punjabi guys who weren't speaking English. Okay? Like 70% of the lineup, which was a big lineup. This is not normal for Canada, okay? And I'm here raising the alarm because this is a recent phenomenon since COVID. Before COVID, sure, we had Indian people, like always. Canadians very multicultural. And before, there was places in Canada such as Surrey in British Columbia or Brampton, which I lived for a year. Brampton's like 90% Indian people, okay? And then the rest of that is not just white people, there's like Caribbeans and things. White people make up less than like 3% of Brampton, and that's Canada. I live there. Like, literally, I'd be in the mall and there's another white person, I'd be like, give them a head nod because, like, literally, that's like rare to see a white person in Brampton. Everybody's speaking fucking Punjabi or Sikh, whatever they speak, okay? Or Hindi. Anyway, they're not going to Brampton anymore because of the massive influx, and Brampton's already full. Like, it's really difficult to get an apartment in Brampton, so they're going other places like Kitchener, Waterloo. They're going to like Guelph and Niagara and other places that traditionally they never went before, and they're coming here in the hundreds of thousands. Okay? That's how crazy it is. Our government's letting in 2 million people a year, and our population is only 40 million. So that's 1/20th of our population, and most of that 2 million, I would say a large percentage of them are from India, okay? And what they're doing is they're coming here, a lot of them, not all of them, on student visas, but they're not even coming here to study. They're coming here to exploit the system, and then to get their work permits. And then our government, once they're here, just hands out work permits to them. They exploited the system. Now, our government's kind of maybe backtracking a little bit because it's got too much. But here's the issue, which is it's really putting a strain, first of all, like I mentioned, on the job market, right? Good luck to if you're 18 years old and you want to go to college and you have to save up a little money because your parents are probably financially strained in the situation in Canada to support you for college. You know what I mean? You don't want to take out a huge loan necessarily, so maybe you want to save up a little money before you go to college. Good luck, because you can't get a job at Walmart or Tim Hortons or a food court or anywhere anymore, okay? Second of all, if you eventually want to move out of your place, it's going to make it much more difficult because of this influx of population in some areas where the rental, to get a rental unit, there's way more competition, supply and demand, which is good for property owners such as myself because it drives up property prices or rental prices, okay? But for the average Canadian, that's not a great thing. So we got, as a result, way more increase in rental prices and way less low-level job positions available. So anybody who's in an entry level who wants to enter the job market, good luck. You're fucked, man. Seriously. What they need to do is get a skilled trade. Like, that's the only thing that anybody who's entering the job market, because going to university, that's going to be a dead end as well. So skilled trade, but that's a whole nother video. Now, I'm going to mention another few things, and I want to first of all mention that, I work with personally a lot of Indian people who are straight from India, and I like them. They're good people, okay? Except a few things, which is there's a bit of a communication issue, and I think this is a major issue in a relationship issue, which is I really don't see like people who are straight from India, such as Punjabis or Sikhs, really getting along well with Canadians, like to the point where like we can get along on a superficial level, taking my order or whatever, but actually hanging out together or I really would never see myself being with a girl from there, intimate relationship. I think it's just uncompatible. Okay, and the same goes for Indian guys with Canadian girls. Like the classic thing is, I don't want to be racist here, but like, send Bob's and Vagine, right, in their message, right, in a Facebook message, right. They really don't have the suave for Canadian girls. I'm just gonna put it straight down. They don't. So that's never going to happen. And as far as like just getting along with Canadians go, like being friends, like I really would not see like me and my boys essentially hanging out with a Punjabi guy per se. And that's not because we're racist. It's just, I wouldn't see a group of Punjabis just inviting me to hang along with them. To be honest, they would probably be speaking Punjabi the whole time, and I would just be sitting there, right? Am I right or am I right? I'm right. So there's a bit of an issue there. Now, there's a few other issues. Okay. One is that there's certain rules of the Western world which are just genuinely known and we follow, and that even goes for like driving rules. Okay. People come here and then we give them driving permits. They don't follow the rules of the road. It's the most horrible driving I've ever seen in my life, where, you come to a stop sign and there's a right of way. Yeah, throw that out the window. There's no right of way anymore. They just go. Second of all, you're in the left lane and you're going like, you should be going 110 kilometers an hour and they're going 70, and there's a lineup of cars behind them. Well, maybe you should move over, because a bunch of cars going this way, that's dangerous, because then there's on-ramps and things, right? Oh, just a group of them chilling, going 70 or 80 in the fast lane. Just pulling out right in front of you. I don't know. It can go on and on and on, because I live in a place where they'll come to, Niagara Falls, and I see it every day. And I live in Brampton. Brampton has the worst driving in the world. My college was next to the center where there was like where you go to report the driving crashes, and every day would be a lineup out the door. It would be packed, full of, obviously, East Indians. Okay? They don't follow the rules of the road. I'm telling you, they don't, because in India, there is none. Okay? That's just the way it is. Whether it's Mumbai or Punjabi province or whatever else, it's just the way it is. Okay? Now, there's also, here's a random one, which I don't think is a major one, but it's still one to take note of, which is public defecation. Canada, where I live, has some of the most in the world, pristine freshwater beaches. Okay? There's Wasaga Beach, which is like the stretch that's like the longest, most freshwater, beautiful, sandy beaches. Okay? And I live in Niagara, close to some as well, and I've heard complaints here about the same thing. What they do is they literally shit on the beach every time it's East Indians. Okay, because it's like a fucking litter box to them, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Now, I gather back in their country, that would be acceptable thing to do. What they do is they set up a little tent, somebody pops a squat, shits on the beach, and then they all leave after having their meal and things, and they leave their shit everywhere. And then kids, and you walk your dog, and there's fucking shit everywhere. That's what I've heard so many accounts of. Okay? So that's another complaint. Just to prove this point, that, you know what I mean, I don't think we should be bringing in a huge percent of the population, Canadian population. Like, at what point is enough, right? It'd be all right if it was like maybe 1% of the Canadian population was Indian, or 2% at most. But the way it's just going now, it's going to be like, would you want all of a sudden overnight your town to be 15% anything? Like, it doesn't matter if it's Indian. Would you want overnight your town to be 15% Chinese? Everybody's speaking Chinese everywhere now. You got Chinese people everywhere, ching chong chong everywhere. No, I wouldn't want that. That's what happened in Vancouver, to be honest, to some extent. But, I wouldn't want that happen. I wouldn't want overnight 15% of the population to be British people in my town. You know what I mean? So this isn't about being racist at all, okay? But the thing is that about East Indians is there's a bit of a discrepancy, right? That I think we should be wary of, and I don't. And here's the thing that I want to also mention is I don't blame them for wanting to come to Canada for a better quality of life, because Canada is a great place, okay? Like, and I feel sorry for a lot of them, because I think a lot of them were promised or had an idea that things were going to be better for them, and they realize it's not. I hear a lot of stories of these guys committing suicide as well once they realize that how hard shit is here, and one of the reasons why is because of them in themselves, because there's no more jobs, there's no more housing. The quality of life is hard now in Canada. It never was before. Never was. So, like, that's, I could go on more and more. I want to wrap up this video, but I want to also just state that, like, growing up and like through life, I've some quality friends I've had with being East Indian, and you got to distinguish between different types of East Indians, and like, for example, there's Khalistanis that we now have a lot of in Canada, which are like a Sikh sub kind of, or Punjabi sub kind of culture, and they're essentially responsible for terrorist acts. And now I don't know how many we have in Brampton, maybe 100,000 of them. Okay, they come in, they want Khalistani reformations in their own country, and they're having parades in Canada with floats going down the streets of mock terrorist events, and in front of their it's not a mosque because they're not Islamic, but the equivalent, their temples. They have big signs with their leaders, and their leaders were known terrorists responsible for one of the major, most terrorist events against Canada, which was an Air Canada bombing, and they're celebrating it right in front of our fucking faces. Okay, and I lived in Brampton, and they're driving down the goddamn street with flags of the Calisthani, everybody, like, all around it. You see it everywhere, right? Like, is that something we want to mass import? Do we want hundreds of thousands of that? Like, man, I don't know. I think we should be very cautious on that result. We don't. The last thing we need in Canada, of all places, is importing, for lack of better words, third world conflict in our fucking country. Canada was the hub of peace and should be the hub of peace, where all cultures come together and live in harmony, and we all get along here, all cultures. Now all of a sudden, all shit's going fucking off the rails, and we're always known for being multicultural, but this mass importation of Punjabis and things, or Sikhs and things, is unicultural. It's not multicultural anymore. Like, literally everywhere is goddamn fucking Punjabis, and it pisses me off, man, to see this happen in my country. You can call me racist for that, whatever. It's not just that. It would be the same for any. If all of a sudden everybody was speaking fucking German, I'll be like, it's kind of weird that there's a bunch of fucking Germans everywhere in my fucking city now. Like, seriously, but it's not that. It's Indians, okay? And there's a bit of a discrepancy between our culture and theirs. I'll just say that, just to be real. Now, it doesn't mean I hate them or anything. I don't hate them as individual. I might like, Grinder or whatever his name is, if when I meet him and say hi to him. But overall, I don't want everybody in my city to be fucking Indian. Okay. I lived in Brampton, which was 95%. I don't want to see that happen in the rest of Canada. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I think I covered everything I wanted to. There's more I could have, but I think that's the major gist, the major points I wanted to cover. Okay. So please leave in the comments section what your thoughts are, if you're in Canada or not, or is my concern justified or unjustified? Am I racist? Tell me if I'm racist. Do it. If you think so, I'm not going to be offended, but I don't think I am. Okay. So leave in the comments what your guys' thoughts are. Okay, on this video. Love you all. Peace.